Hello, my stamping friends. Nicole here from sugarandscraps.com. I have a video for you today for the very first Creators Vlog Hop. For those of you that don't know, vlogging is basically blogging, but through video form. This is a new hop that has been put together, and I am going to show you how to make this adorable fishing vest card. The theme this month was masculine, so I thought what a great idea for a masculine card other than to do a fishing vest. So it's super simple. You don't need any stamps. You're going to need a bone folder, some scissors. You're going to need a paper trimmer with a scoring blade or a paper trimmer and a scoring tool of some type. You're going to need a marker, an ink pad, something to sponge ink with, whether that be a sponge, a wad of paper towels, whatever you want to use to rub some ink on your cardstock with. You're going to need a little bit of adhesive. You're going to want some 3D elements like dimensionals, or and then just some miscellaneous items for decorating your card with. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to show you exactly how I made my card. So I'm going to put the measurements here for just a second so you can see those. And I cannot take all the credit. I'm not the original creator of this style card, but there's a lot of different designs out there, but this is how I do mine. So these are the measurements. Go ahead and move these out of the way, and we'll get started. I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And my cardstock, and we want a piece that's going to be 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So basically half a sheet of cardstock. Put it in here so that the 8.5 inch side is towards the top, and we're going to score this at 2 1/8 inches, so 2 1/8, and then we're going to rotate it, flip it around so that we're on the other side, and we're going to score at 2 1/8 inches. So you should have 2 score lines here, 2 1/8, flip it, 2 1/8. I think if you didn't want to flip it, it's 2 1/8 and approximately 6 3/8, which is what I wrote on the measurement sheet there. That's that. And then we're going to cut 2 little rectangles for our pockets. So we're going to bring in that other half of cardstock, and we're going to do 2 inches by 1 7/8. So 2 inches by 1 7/8. You're going to need 2 of those. And then hold on to this piece because we're going to use it a little bit later. goes this side. So we're gonna fold this in. And we're just gonna give those lines a nice crease. Make sure you line up nice and even. All right, so I'm gonna bring my trimmer back in and we are going to cut the V-neck for our vest. And I think what I did was look at my line here. Want to make sure because I didn't really measure, I just kind of randomly lined it up. I just want to make sure that I have it going the right way so that I get it even. So I took my corner to about the 1 inch mark there. I think what I did, if I slide, so I started, okay, so that's what I did. I'm going to turn this sideways. So what I did is I put the bottom corner at the 2 inch mark, and then I just slid it over to about the 1 inch mark here. So bottom corner on the 2 inch line, and then the top corner is at about 1 inch. And then I just came in and snipped off my corner. Flip it over, do the same thing, bottom corner at the 2 inch mark, top corner at about 1 inch. And of course you can adjust this to whatever you would want your vest to look like. But there you can see I've got my V-neck shape cut into the thing. Now before I put my paper trimmer away, we are going to trim up our pockets. Now this doesn't have to be exact either. I was not as good with cutting these evenly, so I made a little template. And all I did was just trace some lines from my template onto the back of my pockets. So then when I put my pockets in the trimmer, I know that they're going to come out nice and even. That way I don't waste a whole lot of cardstock too, because if I try to do this without it, I get quite a bit of wasted little scraps. So there's the pockets. And again, you could cut those to whatever size or shape you wanted. All right. In the beginning, I forgot to mention that you're going to want something to do your armholes and your neckline in the back. And I used my 1.5 inch circle punch. You could use an oval punch, you could use an oval shaped or circle shaped die, whatever you would want to use. to trim, I used my 1.5 inch circle punch, which worked out nicely. So I lined this up right in the back, in between my V-neck there, and I just snipped a little out. I need to go a little bit further down. I think I did too much there. Anyways, then I lined it up on this side, and I went about halfway in. And I just punched through both layers of the cardstock to get my armholes. And then I just kind of eyeballed it here to line it up with the other side. And same thing, I went in about halfway and punched out my armholes. So there you can see the vest is starting to take shape. Don't put that punch or that die away just yet, because we are also going to punch our inner piece once we get it inside. But we're going to do our sponging and our inking first. So I just took a darker marker than my cardstock base. And this is the tedious part, so I won't go through all of it. I won't do the whole card. But all I did was come in with my marker and just made some fake stitching lines all around the outside edge of my pockets and my vest, just to give it the appearance of having stitched lines. That one I messed up a little bit on. I don't know if you can see that, but there is the stitching on that one. And then for my vest, I went around both sides. So again, I just made little lines all the way around the whole thing, just to mimic stitching. And I was just thinking, you could even turn this into like a military type vest, or a police type vest if you have somebody that is, you know, in the military or the police department, or fish and wildlife. There's a lot of options for this. You just change up the colors and the style and whatever your little elements might be. My stitching got a little crazy there. So you can see how I did that to give it that stitched effect. And then I did go around on my other card to look the same way. So now I'm going to show you how I got my ink on. I literally just take a paper towel and kind of ball it up a little bit. Again, with a darker colored ink. You could use a sponge, you can use whatever will rub your ink, but I just inked up the paper towel and started lightly rubbing in circles, and actually I think I opened it up so that I didn't get it on the inside. And it kind of gives it that worn, used look. You can go heavy or light. And then I just did the same thing on the pockets. And you most likely will get ink on your fingers doing this. Whoa, that went on a little too heavy there. It's all right. Okay, set that aside. All right, before we assemble, I'm going to show you how I made my fishing lure and my lines for the pockets there. So for the fishing lure, I just took that scrap from the piece that we used, and I cut just a little bit of it off, and I put adhesive on the whole outside, on the whole front side of the piece, and then I just took my fingers and rolled it up to give it a sort of cylindrical shape. And then I took a piece of this braided linen trim, and I just snipped a little bit off. And I ended up using all of this. I didn't think I would, but once you cut it off, you can see that it kind of just, you can unthread it or unbraid it. And this took a little bit of time too. I should have pre-done this. I think when I did it, I used all but 4 pieces to wrap around the cardstock there. And the last 4 pieces is what I used to make my head and my tail for my fly. Trying to do this quickly here so you can see. So, oh goodness, cantaloupe. Sorry about that. My cat decided to make her appearance. She usually makes an appearance for my live classes as well as my recorded videos. Oh. My crafting desk is right in front of a window, and she likes to get up here and sit and watch the animals out of the screen. Okay, so then all I did was take, so it's all sticky on the outside because I wrapped it with the adhesive on the outside, and then I just took that thread and started wrapping it around, and this takes a little bit of time too, but I just wrapped it around nice and tight so it lined up. If I missed any space, I would go back over it. And then my next thread went, kind of started where the previous one ended, and I just kept going in that fashion until I had it as long as I wanted it to be. Oh, that's really blurry. I was too close. I'm sorry. All right. I'll do one more piece here just to show you. This one's actually wrapping a lot easier than the one for my finished card. I think I didn't have enough adhesive on the one for my finished card. Oh, there's a gap. So you can see that gap, and I just backed it up over. So it makes it a little, you know, a little thicker in some parts, but it's okay. Alright, so it's not quite as long as my other one was, but I'm going to show you now how I did the tail. So for the tail, I took 2 threads and I just folded them in half. Tried to make sure it was as even as possible. And then I took a 3rd thread and I started a loop. And I kind of lined this up so it was centered. And then I tightened it and to move it a little bit there. And then I just trimmed it to be the same length as my, make sure that's centered. Yeah, so I just trimmed it to be the same length as my tail. And then I snipped those loops from where I folded it. And just kind of pulled it out a little. Oops, I missed a loop there. No, I didn't. Okay. And then I just came in with my liquid glue, which is, sorry, gotta get my liquid glue here. So I just came in with my liquid glue. And I put a little dot right at the end of my threads. And then I just came in with my tail and stuck it right in that little dot and let it dry. And then for the shorter front end, I took 1 thread and I folded it like the previous one was, but instead of leaving it that length, I folded it one more time. That is not. So I just folded it one more time, and then I used the rest of that thread from the tail to make my tie here. And it's a little bit more challenging because it's quite a bit smaller than the other one, but it worked. And then the same thing, just trim that end. You're gonna come in with your liquid glue, a little dot there. And now my little lure here, or my little fly, snip those loops. I left the cardstock a little bit longer than I knew I was going to need, because that way when I go to trim it to my length that I need, bit of something to hold on to. And I found the trick with your liquid glue is if you put the dot on and you let it sit for just a minute or so, it starts to tack up, and then your thread or whatever you're gluing down sticks a little bit better, and that way you don't have to fight with it. So you can see I'm just trimming the I just trimmed the excess cardstock off. I'll throw that away. My thread's out of the way here. And so there I have my little fishing fly that I can glue onto my card. I also took another little piece of that braided linen, and I just frayed it a little bit at the top to separate, to give it a fanned appearance there. And then I took a little bit of thread a little bit of thread, and I wrapped it in a circle around a few of my fingers here. It's not going to stay very long. So what I did, I took my dimensionals, and I used those as the base to hold my thread or my fishing line in place so that it looks like there is fishing line popping right out of the top of the pocket there. Don't want that to come out, so I'm going to, and you could use any type of thread. So then my pocket will just go, you know, line it up to the height that you want it up off the bottom, and you're just gonna press it on there. And I'm not gonna leave this half done. I'm gonna go ahead and stitch up. I should have just did it to the whole thing to begin with. So oh, that stitching got a little crazy. Bear with me here. You can make long lines, short lines. You could do double stitches, X's. However you want to do your faux stitching would be completely up to you. Okay, and then I'm just going to do my extra dirty pocket here where my ink went on a little heavy. And we'll put on our last remaining elements, and we'll have our completed card. So same thing, we're going to take a couple more dimensionals here, put them on the back of our card pocket, take my little braid piece here and just stick it on part of a glue dot so that it's sticking out. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to line this up here. Evenly as I possibly can. And I'm going to take my fly and I'm going to put on just a little dot of that glue. And I'm going to let that tack up while we put our inside piece on. So I have just a piece of white cardstock. And put a little bit of adhesive on it. Line that up on the inside. That's a little crooked. And we're going to bring in that piece, that punched piece here. And we're just going to line it up, punch off just the white portion that's sticking out. Flip your card over, and we're going to do the same thing at the back. And there you have your back popped out. And now that last little element, or for me it's the last little element, our little fly, is going to go right on the pocket here, just to give it the appearance that it is hooked onto the pocket there. And then you would just simply write your greeting or stamp your greeting into the inside of the fishing vest. Be a great Father's Day card, a great birthday card, even a just because card. But there you have it. That is how I made my fishing vest card. Please click on the link and visit the other creations that have been submitted, as well as leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And if you liked my video and any other videos on my channel, be sure to subscribe so you always get the latest videos. And until next time, happy stamping. Bye.